Welcome to this Beyond Shakespeare exploring session. I'm Robert Crichton, figuring out how this whole thing works, and we are doing the Interlude of Youth today. This is an interlude. It's a court-associated interlude from about 1513 to 1514. We have a very narrow window when it was first produced, and written for probably a very specific event, for a patron of some standing. Possibly, I believe this one is associated more with a northern household than a court setting, but that's something we might get into when we look at tomorrow's play, because today's play and tomorrow's play are linked.
Oh.
Yes, I was hoping someone would do a panto response. Thank you very much. So this looks back to earlier medieval drama. This, in the sense that it is has a moral theme, a very strong moral element, but it's also looking ahead as well. I'm trying not to lead too much. This is a time when, under Henry VIII, we have more use of soft power and the use of drama to present thoughts and ideas and influence, which is, again, something we might go into in the future. But all we're trying to do today is find out how the play functions. Is there meat enough in this for a modern audience to engage with? What works? What doesn't work? What do we not have a clue as to what the hell is going on? These are all very legitimate questions, and we have a wonderful team of readers for you today, as well as audience who may comment on the text as we go along and see how it reads. So I'm going to work my way through the company. Could I ask the person playing youth to introduce themselves?
Hello there, my name is David Ault. You may have heard me on such podcasts as the No Sleep Podcast and the Byron Chronicles, and yes, I am playing youth.
And he does it so beautifully. And next we have playing Charity.
Hello, I'm Fiona Thraille, and I'm a podcast producer with Dashing Onions, and writer and actor as well, occasionally.
Excellent. And playing Riot, we have
Pamela Flanagan. I thought I'd give myself my whole name there. So I am an actor. I've worked with Beyond Shakespeare on several projects. And this is the first one with a team, so I'm a bit excited.
Yes, we are often all alone in a small studio. Next, we have Pride. Who's playing Pride?
Hey everyone, my name's Simon Nader and I am playing Pride. And I work with Beyond Shakespeare quite a lot with Robert, and we last collaborated on the Museum of Tat, which hopefully you saw. No, you didn't? Okay, fine. Well, we did it anyway.
And reading a Lady Lechery today is...
Hello there everybody, my name is Sascha Cooper and I'm in Brighton in the UK. I'm an actress, dancer, psychic medium and reader, hair and makeup artist and an holistic insightful life coach who also does quite a lot of voice work and will be branching into this area given the current circumstances, and I hope I can do a good Lady Lechery for you guys.
Ooh. I love the way the box immediately leapt to Simon there as well. Saying nothing.
It was a little shuffle that happened when you said Lady Lechery.
and finally, reading Humility is...
Hi, I'm Stefanie. I do research and performance and work also as a theatre director and teacher from time to time.
Lovely. Okay, without further ado, with your best acting shoes on, if I could ask Charity to open the play. There doesn't appear to be any other introduction. There doesn't appear to be a separate prologue or anything with this text. And if you're watching this at home on YouTube or listening to this on the podcast, there will be links to follow the text along online. This is available on various sources online, so you can find it and stay in touch with us. But without further ado, if I could ask Charity to step forward.
Jesu, that his arms did spread, and on a tree was done to dead. From all perils he you defend. I desire audience till I have made an end, for I am come from God above to occupy his laws to your behove, and I am named Charity. There may no man saved be without help of me, for he that charity doth refuse other virtues, though he do use, without charity it will not be. For it is written in the Fay, qui manet in charitate in Deo manet. I am the gate, I tell thee, of heaven, that joyful city. There may no man thither come, but of charity he must have some, or he may not come, iwis unto heaven, the city of bliss. Therefore, charity, who will him take, a pure soul it will him make before the face of God. In the ABC of books, the least it is written, Deus charitas est. Lo, charity is a great thing. Of all virtues, it is the king. When God in earth was here living, of charity he found none ending. I was planted in his heart, we two might not depart. Out of his heart I did spring through the might of the heaven king, and all priests that be may sing no mass without charity, and charity to them they do not take, they may not receive him that did them make, and all this world of naught.
So we open with, okay, here's a question for you. Charity is obviously supposed to be, I'm sure, a good figure. A bit full of themselves, though. A bit full of themselves. That's my personal. Any thoughts out there from the group?
I was certainly thinking that there was a lot of pride in Charity.
We had two bits of Latin in there. The Deus Charitas Est is straightforwardly translated in the next line. Charity is a great thing. It's the king of all virtues. So yeah, there's an interesting contradiction there. I quite like the earlier Latin. Qui manet in charity in Deo manet. Who dwells in love dwells in God. So it's a little bit of various homilies that I'm sure would be vaguely known to the audience at the time, perhaps. Any other thoughts about Charity's opening?
Well, this is, it's not just charity in our modern sense, right? It's caritas, the virtue of unselfish love, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, introduce yourself, do carry on. These are good thoughts.
I'm Liza, I have opinions, but I try and keep them coherent and brief. So Deus Caritas Est isn't just charity is great, it's God is love, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the King James version of all these three abide: faith, hope, and charity, and the greatest of these is charity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Any more for any more? I see Fiona's gone to audio only, or possibly has completely disappeared. Because you were dipping in and out a little bit, so probably
Yes.
best to remain audio.
Yes.
Any additional thoughts?
Yeah. Hi, Stefanie speaking. I find it quite interesting that the feeling I get is charity is like a ship going through the ocean, and everything to her right and her left is falling off. So she's really parting the waves, and that's, I don't know what other introductions of characters are like at the time, but I find this really interesting. also the image of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And the parting waves, and that she is really sort of making literally an entrance into that wide unknown.
Excellent.
So I don't think she's proud.
No, I was being,
I know,
I was
I
being
know.
deliberately
Yes.
provoking. I mean, thinking about this, the spaces that this would likely to be performed in, these would be crowded halls. So the idea of breaking your way into a space and making your presence felt is an important part of the opening of a play, because you have to. There may not actually be that much playing space, depending on how successful the event is.
And one other thing that I was thinking was that it opens with a blessing. It opens with Jesus that opened his arms wide upon you, upon the cross for you, bless you. And that's a very, I don't know how common that would be, but I would assume that it would be quite common to open that way.
It's not uncommon. It's definitely not uncommon, or for that matter, for something similar to close a play as well. They're not unknown to end with an amen, and it wouldn't be unknown for the audience possibly to actually say it back. Anyway, we may be overthinking these first 39 lines that we have so far done. Let us move in. There is now an entrance of youth, and this opening address is to the audience as well. We can assume that Charity has either been interrupted or has given way to the entrance of youth. Thoughts as we go. Go, youth.
Aback, fellows, and give me room, or I shall make you to avoid soon. I am goodly of person. I am peerless wherever I come. My name is Youth, I tell thee. I flourish as the vine tree. Who may be likened unto me in my youth and jollity? My hair is royal and bushed thick, my body pliant as a hazel stick. Mine arms be both big and strong, my fingers be both fair and long. My chest big as a tun, my legs be full light for to run, to hop and dance and make merry. By the mass, I reck not a cherry whatsoever I do. I am the heir of all my father's land, and it is come into my hand. I care for no mo.
Are you so
Actually, I will
disposed to
pause us there. I was going to just let go on, but I think we'll do the same to the opening oration for youth as well. Immediately, lots of energy there. Lots of
and pride.
And pride. Well, yes,
and hair, apparently, yeah.
And hair. I didn't want to say.
I chose to overlook that bit.
Yes, so obviously has a lot of thought about themselves, and any thoughts from the room?
With director hat on, you can imagine that the youth obviously comes through the baying mob, through the audience, spitting their mead left, right, and centre, which would be a very nice entrance for youth.
Yes.
I mean, he's almost like a sprite figure in a way. The youth character. If you think about it, that kind of character was very common in a lot of Elizabethan and Jacobean plays. If anything, it was used to, if I remember correctly, it was used as almost like a jester, like an entertainment type thing. So you can imagine, again, with director head on, I do direct theatre plays as well, but you can imagine that youth character to be almost like the jester character in the Elizabethan era. Even just when he says, the ego is very prominent there. He talks about my body pliant as a hazel stick, mine arms be both big and strong. Even that, it's almost like a mockery of ego at the time. So a lot of it would have been very tongue-in-cheek, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I could certainly see him coming through the audience and actually just turning to people and saying, and look at my arms, test that and see.
Yeah.
Try those legs. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump.
Would he be actually wearing the same garments? as the courtiers or those in that northern household?
Well, again, we don't know its precise auspices, but we generally find that there is some kind of costuming going on with the bigger events, with something that may be designed for only 4 or 5 actors, maybe less so. Certainly he'll be dressed to present youth in some way. There'll be some clear demarcation of so if there's a satirical edge to the common young person, I'm sure we can think of what the young look like today.
I'm putting my hoodie up just for that.
Exactly.
Yes, give me that.
Liza, did you have any thoughts there?
Oh yeah, just that charity, like as was said earlier, I forget by whom, charity opens with a blessing and proceeds to deliver sort of a sermon. Youth opens with a threat. So we've got 2 characters who immediately address the audience and establish a relationship. And one can imagine youth being played by an actor who's quite good at dancing. I mean, if we've read Chaucer's ''The Miller's Tale,'' Absalom, the young lover, is he's renowned for his turn as Herod in the mystery plays, and he wears really tight leggings and he has great legs, and you could picture an actor like that.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, we've possibly over-egged the amount of interjections we're doing. So let's let a scene unfold a bit between Charity and Youth. So if Fiona and David are ready, then Charity, can you go from "Are you so disposed to do"? Actually, no. Sorry, Youth. Give a couple of lines into Charity's retort.
Okay. I am the heir of all my father's land, and it is come into my hand. I care for no mo.
Are you so disposed to follow vice and let virtue go?
Yea, sir, even so, for nowadays he is not set by without he be unthrifty.
You had need to ask God mercy. Why did you so praise your body?
Why, knave, what is that to thee? Wilt thou let me to praise my body? Why should I not praise it and it be goodly? I will not let for thee.
What shall it be when thou shalt flit for thy wealth into the pit? Therefore of it be not too bold, lest thou forethink it when thou art old. Ye may be likened to a tree in youth, flourishing with royalty, and in age it is cut down, and to the fire is thrown. So shalt thou, but thou amend, be burned in hell without end.
Yea, whoreson, trowest thou so? Beware lest thou thither go. Hence, caitiff, go thy way, or with my dagger I shall thee slay. Hence, knave, out of this place, or I shall lay thee on the face. Sayest thou that I shall go to hell, for evermore there to dwell? I had liever thou had evil fare.
Yet, sir, do by my rede, and ask mercy for thy misdeed, and thou shalt be a heriter of bliss, where all joy and mirth is, where thou shalt see a glorious sight of angels singing with saints bright before the face of God.
What, sirs, above the sky? I had need of a ladder to climb so high. But what, and the ladder slip, then I am deceived yet. And if I fall, I catch a queck. I am a fortune to break my neck, and that joint is ill to set. Nay, not so.
Oh, yet remember and call to thy mind, the mercy of God passeth all thing. For it is written by noble clerks, the mercy of God passeth all works, that witnesseth holy scripture, saying thus, Miseritiones Domini super omnia opera eas. Therefore doubt not in God's grace, thereof is plenty in every place.
What? Methink ye be clerkish, for ye speak good gibberish. Sir, I pray you, and you have any store, soil me a question, or ye cast out any more, lest when your conning is all done, my question have no solution. Sir, and it please you this, why do men eat mustard with salt fish? Sir, I pray you soil me this question that I have put to your discretion.
This question is but a vanity. It longeth not to me, such questions to assoil.
Sir, by God that me dear bought, I see your conning is little or naught, and I should follow your school. Soon ye would make me a fool. Therefore, crake no longer here, lest I take you on the ear and make your head ache.
Okay, I'm just going to pause there because I think we've got a reasonable way into this, and because Youth is, shall we say, a little aggressive, and Charity is really taking it. So thoughts, people.
Why do men eat mustard with salt fish?
Nobody knows.
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Again, nobody knows. Okay, yes, thoughts.
It reminds me of the Jesus and Satan thing that we were going to do, but obviously didn't at Sudbury recently. The same kind of style, apart from this one's lighter. And I kind of like the bit that really stood out for me is I'm just trying to scroll back and find it, about the joint, his neck snapping was quite a nice line, because the thing that genuinely puts me off reading things like these myself, we leave it to Robert, is that they can turn into obviously a massive lecture, which of course when you think about why they were written, to keep people in order, it's no surprise, but it's nice that there are some moments of levity, so it's not just something that is telling people to fall in line and we'll get the message at the end.
It's a very physical scene. You get the impression that Youth is physically doing things and really threatening in quite physical ways, and it's Charity who's trying to be reasonable here.
But it feels light rather than sort of confrontation.
Oh yes,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not expecting Charity to be found in a ditch anytime soon. I'm not feeling that. I don't think that's where the play is going. Any other thoughts? Silence. It's a beautiful thing.
It feels like Youth has no boundaries whatsoever. It just sort of like the joy of life is just sort of the joy of absolutely doing anything without any kind of moral implications, which I guess is the whole point, that Youth has to learn all that. But it just seems very joyful.
Excellent. Let us therefore continue. I've lost. So go from Youth. Can we go from a threat of physical violence again here?
Certainly.
That seems like because that seems like a good point. Therefore, I think.
Yep. Okey-doke. Therefore, crake no longer here, lest I take you on the ear and make your head ache.
Sir, it falleth not me to fight, neither by day, nay by night. Therefore do, by my counsel, I say, then to heaven thou shalt have the way.
No, sir, I think ye will not fight, but to take a man's purse in the night ye will not say nay, for such holy caitiffs were wont to be thieves, and such would be hanged as high as a man may see with his eye, in faith, this same is true.
God save every Christian body from such evil destiny, and send us of his grace in heaven to have a place.
Nay, I warrant thee, he hath no place for thee. Weenest thou he will have such fools to sit on his gay stools? Nay, I warrant thee, nay.
Well, sir, I put me in God's will, whether he will me save or spill. And, sir, I pray you do so, and trust in God whatsoever you do.
Sir, I pray thee, hold thy peace, and talk to me of no goodness, and soon look thou go thy way, lest with my dagger I thee slay. In faith, and thou move my heart, thou shalt be weary of thy part, or thou and I have done.
Think what God suffered for thee, his arms to be spread upon a tree, a knight with a spear opened his side, in his heart appeared a wound wide, that bought both thee and me.
God's fast, what is that to me? Thou door, wilt thou read me in my youth to lease my jollity? Hence, knave, and go thy way, or with my dagger I shall thee slay.
O sir, hear what I will you tell, and be ruled after my counsel, that ye may sit in heaven on high with God and his company.
Yet of God wilt thou not cease till I fight in good earnest? On my faith I tell thee true, if I fight, thou wilt it rue all the days of thy life.
Sir, I see it will none otherwise be. I will go to my brother Humility and take counsel of him how it is best to do therein.
Yea, marry, sir, I pray you of that. Methink it were a good sight of your back. I would see your heels hither, and your brother and you together fettered fine fast. Ewis, and I had the K, ye should sing well away, or I let you loose.
Farewell, my masters, everyone. I will come again anon, and tell you how I have done.
And exit
Ooh.
Charity. Okay. Do we think that the youth's physical aggression is a bit feigned? Is he? It's like he's having his bluff called throughout this scene. It's like he said he's going to do some violence and then doesn't and keeps not doing it. So is there a bit of a straw man here? Thoughts?
It's about testing the voice, isn't it? And volume in that space that's to be captured, like the audience that needs to be captured, and the audience in that very hall that needs to make space. And I think the way youth probably goes on with his voice is just tuning up the volume and becoming more boisterous and testing his voice to push Charity out of that space. So it's a battle for space.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it really reminds me of my family growing up, you know, what with the whole religious background and all. But yeah, and you know, I still do it now, and I have quite intense arguments with my quite religious aunts and uncles. And it is that thing of there's only so far I can go with them. They're elderly, they're very set in their ways. And so I can be as bluff and as proud and as whatever as I want, but they're not going to change their minds. So I feel like youth is that it might be repetition because he knows he's not actually going to hurt her. Does that make sense? Or to hurt Charity, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a testing of the wills in a way, because if you think about it, you've got ego versus you know, virtue, and whoever is right or wrong at this point, it's not really counting. It's more like, to me, it's making a standard. It's like if you're getting into an argument and you're trying to make a point, but who's going to back down? It's like that battle of the wills, and it's that fine line, isn't it, between that right and wrong, between fair and injustice, you know, all that kind of thing. And it just sums it up, you know. Or even if you wanted to make it even more simple, youth versus wisdom, 9 times out of 10. You know, it's that, you know, who's going to break? Who's going to push it? Who's going to push it? It's like if you get into an argument, who's going to break first?
And it's interesting. Charity sort of withdraws, but says, "I'm coming back. I'm going to come back and see how you get on."
One thing that I quite liked was, and this possibly will be poking fun at the church at the time, where youth says, "I don't think you'll fight, but you will take a man's purse in the night." Not going to say no to that, are you?
True.
Yes, can you hear in the distance the distant sound of the rumbling build-up of the English Reformation? Yes, possibly. 20 years' time, it all comes crashing down, and that's yes. The abuse of clergy is a very, very popular vein of abuses of power and of money. Turns up a lot. We're about to have the arrival of Riot. So if you think youth is a bit dodgy, then let's see what Riot, because I think Riot is obviously going to turn out to be a very nice, gentle soul who does flower arranging. So let's.
Riot is colour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it means. Okay, youth.
I just want to know what you do with that first line, man.
Yeah. I've not worked on it.
Well, the using of the notation of random noises is always fun in scripts, and so yeah, play around. Youth has a moment to presumably give everyone a little bit of a break and turn around. So it depends on what the entrances and exits are like. They might only have one entrance and exit to go via in some spaces. So maybe youth has to vamp for a minute before Riot enters in about 10 lines' time. So go youth.
Yeah, and thou come hither again, I shall send thee hence in the devil's name. What? Now I may have my space to jet here in this place. Before I might not stir when that churl Charity was here, but now among all this cheer!
Yay!
I would I had some company here. I wish my brother Riot would help me for to beat Charity and his brother too.
Who calleth after me? I am Riot, full of jollity.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Try huffer as an exclamation of "ho-hoy" kind of thing. Make an entrance, because your youths your brothers. So have fun.
Because I was thinking, with the way that you entered there, we'd have to keep a 2-meter space between everyone.
No?
I'm
getting my space in the theatre.
Yeah.
Especially as the plague is right.
Yeah.
Too soon?
I was almost going to go for vomiting, but I thought that might be too far.
Yeah. I have to say, anyone watching this video will have noticed me touching my face constantly, so I feel very, very bad. We're a bad example. I apologise. Anyway, Riot, right, take the floor.
Huffa!
Hey.
Who calls after me? I am Riot, full of jollity. My heart is light as the wind, and all of Riot is my mind wheresoever I go. But what ye what I do here? To seek youth, my compeer. Fain of him I would have a sight, but my lips hang in my light. Godspeed, Master Youth, by my fay.
Welcome, Riot in the devil way. Who brought thee hither today?
That did my legs, I tell thee. Methought thou did call me. And I am come now here to make royal cheer, and tell thee how I have done.
What? I weened thou hadst be hanged, but I see thou escaped. For it was told me here that you took a man on the ear, his purse in your bosom did fly, and so in you all night did he lie.
So it was, I beshrew your cape. I come lately from Newgate, but I am as ready to make good cheer as he that never came there. For, and I have spending, I will make as merry as a king, and care not what I do. For I will not lie long in prison, but I will get forth soon. For I have learned policy that will loose me lightly and soon let me go.
I love well thy discretion, for thou art all of one condition. Thou art stable and steadfast of mind, and not changeable as the wind. But, sir, I pray you at the least, tell me more of that jest that thou told me right now.
Moreover, I shall tell thee, the Mayor of London sent for me.
Okay, I'm just going to pause you there before we go into story time. Just a sense of the old lag that is your brother coming in now. Lots of thuns. Hilarious. What brought you hither today? That did my legs. Budum ching. Hilarious sense of humor. Any thoughts from the room?
Actually, picking up on what Stefanie asked earlier, I feel that probably Riot, therefore, is your clown character. It reminds me of a lot of, characters in He Who Shall Not Be Named plays, with the usual reasoning and logic of the fool. So I'd say that's what Riot was.
Yep, I think that is a very, very fair assessment. I think that's a fair point. Do I have? Is Liza? Are you?
Oh yeah, I mean, Riot is very. You're right. Riot is very like the Vice, who became the clown and became the fool artificial. But yeah, it's interesting how. Presumably, I don't know the end of this play, so it might be a spoiler. Presumably, Youth gets redeemed, but Riot can't be redeemed because they're the personification of a vice.
Again, we won't reveal, but I suspect you're probably right. Oh yes, the term vice at this point doesn't exist yet. I believe it doesn't get used for another 10 years or 10, 20 years. But it is the same principle, and the idea of a corrupter. The odd thing about this play, in terms of morality play, is that Youth is already corrupted. He's not lily white and wandering through and then meets someone who tempts him. He's already been corrupted by the world. And
well, he's off the court, isn't he?
Yeah. So in that sense, you could argue that they're both elements of that.
It's true. Youth seems to be written with all the worst characteristics of these young people today that the author could think of.
Yeah, but the question is, how much of it is bluster? When we were talking about the violence earlier, how much of that was an idle threat that he wants to look larger than he is?
Yeah, and I think it's very relevant that the minute he has a soliloquy, he says, finally, I have my space to jet here in this place. And then about 6 lines later, he starts feeling lonely and wishing he had some company.
Enter God.
Well, no, enter Riot. Okay, so Youth setting up a little set piece because we expect Riot to do some fun stuff. We always like it when the bad people come in. They're always so much more fun than anyone else.
Oh, yes.
So, Riot, you've been invited to tell of the jest that you did recently. Tell us all about it.
Moreover, I shall tell thee. The Mayor of London sent for me, forth of Newgate, for to come, for to preach at Tyburn.
By Our Lady, he did promote thee to make thee preach at the gallows tree? But, sir, how didst thou escape?
Verily, sir, the rope brake. And so I fell to the ground and ran away safe and sound. By the way, I met with a courtier's lad, and 20 nobles of gold in his purse he had. I took the lad on the ear, beside his horse I felled him there. I took his purse in my hand, and 20 nobles therein I found. Lord, how I was merry.
God's foot! Thou didst enough there for to be made Knight of the Collar.
Yea, sir, I trust to God Almight at the next sessions to be dubbed a knight.
Now, sir, by this light that I would fain see, and I plight thee, so God me save, that a surer collar thou shalt have. And because gold collars be so good cheap, unto the roper I shall speak, to make thee one of a good price, and that shall be of warrantice.
Youth, I pray thee, have ado, and to the tavern let us go, and we will drink diverse wine, and the cost will be mine.
Ooh.
Thou shalt not pay 1 penny, I wis. Yet thou shalt have a wench to kiss whensoever thou wilt.
Marry, Riot, I thank thee that thou wilt bestow it on me, and for thy pleasure so be it. I would not charity should us meet and turn us again, for right now he was with me and said he would go to humility and come to me again.
Let him come, if he will. He were better to bide still, and he give thee crooked language, I will lay him on the visage. And that thou shalt see soon, how lightly it shall be done. And he will not be ruled with knocks. We shall set him in the stocks to heal his sore shins.
I shall help thee, if I can, to drive away that hangman. Hark, Riot, thou shalt understand, I am heir of my father's land, and now they be come to my hand. Methink it were best, therefore, that I had one man more to wait me upon.
Okay, at that point, there is the entrance of Pride at a distance in the edit that I have here. That's an inferred stage direction. I don't know if that's in the script I sent out to you. It's an inferred bit of business.
No, it's not.
No. So it's an inferred bit of physical business that has been inferred from the text in this edition that I'm looking at here. Lots of things there. There's something obviously satirical going on to do with the collar and the nooses and ornamental chains that are a thing around the time, which I think a modern audience will immediately just go, which is sort of fine. But it's interesting if Youth is the inheritor of his father's land. That makes Riot the younger son, which sort of makes sense. Any thoughts before we move a little bit forward? I love the way they talk about charity. Ooh, charity out there. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Exactly right, I think.
Riot could have been eavesdropping in the audience, given that he says or uses the same as Youth took him on the ear, and depending on the stress, you could make it like, I took him by the ear, you didn't manage to. That's what we'll talk about later, and I teach you. I teach you here right now, actually.
Yeah. Anything else?
As they are so fun, how much would the audience actually be really quite kind of secretly rooting for them because they are such enjoyable characters, or would it not have been performed in that kind of way?
Well, we don't know. In that sense, I suspect it's a bit of 6 of one and half dozen of the other. I suspect that yes, they are playing the audience, they are playing this for fun, but everyone knows that ultimately that is in the service of a greater truth, that there is an expectation of Youth to be wild and over the top, but hopefully by the end of the play Youth will be tamed.
I guess if Youth wasn't, it wouldn't do the usual device of a morality play, of course, and try to speak.
It wouldn't be a very good morality play, no.
It wouldn't be, would it? Yeah.
Be good. Okay, then.
In morality plays, you always get this tension between what makes good morality and what makes good theater. And you know, in a mystery cycle, you're always looking forward to the devils being on stage. You're always looking forward to seeing Herod strutting and yelling. You know, the devil literally has all the best lines.
It's true, actually. And whether deep down anybody is truly rooting for the villains or not, the whole point is, in that sort of era, it would have been the done thing. Everybody kind of expecting the drama and the tension. And this just sets it up really, really beautifully, I think.
I mean, the thing is, there is no point in saying people can be redeemed if they don't do bad things. There is an expectation in these dramas that people will sin, they will do bad things, but here is a demonstration of the escape route.
Yes.
And so the demonstration of the fun things are fun, but bad things are fun, and they demonstrate that, but the consequences also come with it.
Yes. No. Can I just say something?
Oh, please.
I mean, that's mirrored by the evocation of Tyburn and even of Newgate, or from Newgate to Tyburn, because it's all about the spectacle. It's not so much about death, especially as given the presence of that character Riot, and making a complete show of this, and tempting luck and winning, and so knowing how to tempt luck or good fortune or the news even, without maybe knowing how to read.
Well, it's part of the allegory, isn't it? You can try and kill Riot, but Riot will always survive.
Yes. Excellent. Let us crack on. So I've got to say, in the edition I'm looking at, an inferred stage direction that Pride is loitering somewhere. I think it's only in this edition on the assumption that Pride is supposed to know something later on.
Right.
I suspect that is overthinking it slightly, but who knows? Who knows? People often people often overhear things that they don't actually overhear in plays. So I think that is a direction I might ignore. So Riot.
We'll save it for the Marxist analysis.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Go Riot, please.
I can speed thee of a servant of price, that will do thee good service. I see him go here beside. Some men call him Master Pride. I swear by God in Trinity, I will go fetch him unto thee, and that even anon.
Hie thee apace, and come again, and bring with thee that noble swain.
Lo, Master Youth, here he is, a pretty man and wise. He will be glad to do you good service in all that ever he may.
Well, so I'll just pause there. So yes, it's I personally feel that this is Riot's looked off into the wing and gone, oh, he's probably over there, and then he just comes in. I think it's probably as simple as that, because that's basically a standby cue for the actor playing Pride, going, oh, I've heard my name, I'll just start wandering.
Drinking.
And also, it might be worth mentioning that they would have used things like cue scripts in this particular era as well. So yeah, you can see where the link up would actually take place. So yeah, makes sense.
It's to make sure the actor playing Charity's got into their Pride costume.
Well, actually, the doubling in this is very limited, so so that actually isn't an issue. There are other plays coming up that is a serious logistical question, but we won't worry about that for now. Anyway, Riot's low Master Youth, here he is. So Pride is what saunters on.
Lo, Master Youth, here he is, a pretty man and wise. He will be glad to do you good service in all that ever he may.
Welcome to me, good fellow. I pray thee, whence comest thou? And thou wilt my servant be. I shall give thee gold and fee.
Sir, I am content to wish to do you any service that ever I can do.
By likelihood thou should do well enow. Thou art a likely fellow.
Yes, sir, I warrant you, if ye will be ruled by me, I shall bring to high degree.
What shall I do? Tell me, and I will be ruled by thee.
Marry, I shall tell you. Consider ye have an good enow, and think ye come of noble kind. Above all mean, exalt thy mind. Put down the poor, and set naught by them. Be in company with gentlemen. Jet up and down in the way, and your clothes, look they be gay. The pretty wenches will say then, yonder goeth a gentleman, and every poor fellow that goeth you by will do off his cap and make you courtesy. In faith, this is true.
Sir, I thank thee by the rood for thy counsel, it is so good. And I commit me even now under the teaching of Riot and you.
Lo, youth, I told you that he was a lust fellow.
Marry, sir, I thank thee that you would bring him unto me.
Sir, it were expedient that ye had a wife to live with her all your life.
A wife? Nay, nay, for God avow, he shall have flesh enow. For by God that me dear bought, overmuch of one thing is naught. The devil said he had liever burn all his life than once for to take a wife. Therefore, I say, so God save me, he shall no wife have. Thou hast a sister fair and free. I know well his leman she will be. Therefore, I would she were here, that we might go and make good cheer at the wine somewhere.
I pray you, hither thou do her bring, for she is to my liking.
Sir, I shall do my diligence to bring you to her presence. Sorry, to bring her to your presence.
Hie thee apace, and come again. To have a sight I would be fain of that lady free.
Sir.
So, yes, I'm liking your reading of Pride as being a much more relaxed. We've got Riot being big and bold, giving it large.
Hamming it up, I think is what you want to say.
And that's much subtler energy. I think that's a good reading.
Allegiance.
Yeah,
my favourite word. Politician.
Just checking. There are a couple of things. You had right. There's a couple of minor typos. I'm just making a note for future reference. They weren't important. It's not. It's fine. Any thoughts?
I did like the fact that I think modern audiences might be able to appreciate the put down the paw, set naught by them, be in company with gentlemen, jet up and down in the way, and all of that. It was like, oh yeah.
That's it. Get your Aston Martin, just chill out. That's it. It's sort of encouraging everyone to be a yuppie, really, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've sent Pride off to fetch a lady.
Piece of flesh.
Yes,
Yes, I did like it were expedient that you had a wife to live with her, and it's like no wife, no, he wants flesh. He doesn't want a wife.
Yes, yes, it's a very different approach from Pride, which is doing this very different angle. I wonder whether there's something there.
Well, Riot is a vice. Pride is a sin. That's a whole different league. And about 4 lines after accepting Pride as his servant, Youth then says, I will be ruled by thee. So the servant now rules the master, and that's pretty much what a sin does. Lust is another one of the 7 deadlies, and we're going to meet her. Looking forward to it.
That's a really good point, because actually, if you think about Youth, he's already exhibited a lot of the sins, the usual 7 deadlies. So I guess it's about drawing them out. That's actually a really good point.
Yes, do you think if this was a more extensive play, you would get a parade of different sins coming out, and other plays do that in force, and that goes back a couple of hundred years. So we have an earlier incarnation of Lady Lechery for the listeners at home or the viewers at home. We were doing a live show, or were planning to do a live show a couple of weeks ago, which got cancelled because of plague, where we were going to do sections of Castle of Perseverance, which does feature a lust figure who uses some much more fun language, shall we say. Keeping this clean. We're keeping this clean for today. So I won't go further than that. Okay, so stand by Lady Lechery and go forth, Riot.
Sir, in faith, I shall tell you true. She is a fresh and fair of hue and very proper of body. Men call her Lady Lechery.
My heart burneth, by God of might, till of that lady I have a sight.
Enter Lady Lechery with pride.
Sir, I have fulfilled your intent and have brought you in this present that you have sent me for.
Thou art a ready messenger. Come hither to me, my heart so dear. Ye be welcome to me as the heart in my body.
Sir, I thank you, and at your pleasure I am. Ye be the same unto me.
Masters, will ye to tavern walk? A word with you there will I talk, and give you the wine.
Gentlemen, I thank you verily, and I am all ready to wait you upon.
What, Sister Lechery, ye be welcome to our company.
Well, wanton, well, fie, for shame, so soon ye do express my name. What if no man should have known? Iwis, I shall you beat. Well, wanton, well.
A little pretty missot, ye be well nice, God wot. Ye be a little pretty pie, I wis, ye go full gingerly.
Well, I see your false eye winketh on me full wantonly. Ye bull full wanton, Iwis.
Pride, I thank you of your labour that you had to fetch this fair flower.
Lo, youth, I told thee that I would bring her with me. Sir, I pray you, tell me now, how doth she like you?
Verily well she pleased me, for she is courteous, gentle, and free. How do you, fair lady? How fare you, tell me?
If it please you, I do well enow, and the better that you will wit.
Riot, I would be at tavern fain, lest charity us meet and turn us again. Then would I be sorry because of this fair lady.
Let us go again betime, that we may be at the wine, or ever that he come.
Hie thee apace, and go we hence. We will let for none expense.
Now we will fill the cup and make good cheer. I trust I have a noble here. Hark, sirs, for God Almight, hearest thou not how they fight? In faith we shall them part. If there be any wine to sell, they shall no longer together dwell. No, then I beshrew my heart.
No, sir, mote I thee, let not thy servants fight within thee, for it is a careful life evermore to live in strife. Therefore, if ye will be ruled by my tale, we will go to the ale and see how we can do. I trust to God that sitteth on high to lease that little company within an hour or two.
Now let us go, for God's sake, and see how merry we can make.
Now let us go apace, and I be last there, I beshrew my face.
Now let us go, that we were there to make this lady some cheer.
Verily, sir, I thank thee that ye will bestow it on me, and when it please on you to call, my heart is yours, body and all.
Fair lady, I thank thee. On the same wise ye shall have me whensoever ye please.
Riot!
I'm just going to pause us there. So yeah, that's very much feels like a Lechery that's a sort of exit line as she sort of goes, body and all. It's just it's sort of and it waves her off, and there's that whole business, the coins, talking about how the coins are fighting and jingling and jangling in his. That's a nice exchange, which really only makes clear sense with a physical prop. Really, I think. Any thoughts about that little sequence apart from the obvious? Keep it clean, people. Keep it clean.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I do like the fact that Lady Lechery comes in and says, I'm at your pleasure, and ye be the same unto me. And Youth then says, shall we go to the pub?
Yeah, pretty much.
He's a student.
Here is Lady Lechery thrusting herself into Youth's face, and he goes, "Shall we go to the pub? I want to chat and get some wine." It's like, seems a strange response.
Maybe he's
from Youth
nervous.
there. Yeah, maybe he is in it. Maybe.
We've all been there, you know.
Yeah, I think there is that sense of a lot of what Youth is about is that that attempt to big himself up and present himself as more worldly than he is, because Riot clearly is the experienced worldly person he looks up to, and Pride is a much more subtle character underneath that. So I think that's a fair reading. I think that makes a lot of sense. And he's also fun. It gives Lady Lechery something to do, because the more you play with him, the more I don't know what to
do. She's like a burlesque dancer. Actually, you know how the world of burlesque teases with the clothes sort of coming off. You know, if you were to put it into a modern context, that's the sort of character she would be. She'd be like the Dita Von Teese of the Elizabethan era. Quite literally.
Okay. We have they're about to make off, but there's going to be well, there's the intimation that they're about to sing a song. Lucky you. There is no indication of what the song is, and so we will just mark it.
Perfect.
I would just sort of shout, and they sing here. But it's the introduction of Charity again. You can't get rid of Charity. Back comes Charity. You're about to go off to the pub with a beautiful lady, spend some cash.
Wet blanket.
Okay, so Pride. Right, we tarry long.
Riot, we tarry long.
We will go even now with a lusty song.
In faith, I will be rectatory.
Go to it then heartily, and let us be agate.
Abide, fellow.
Oh.
A word with thee. Whither go ye, tell me? Abide, and hear what I shall you tell, and be ruled by my counsel.
Nay, no, fellow, no yet, mate. I trow thy fellow be in Newgate. Shall we tell thee whither we go? Nay, wis, good John a Peppo, who learned thee, thou mistaught man, to speak so to a gentleman. Though his clothes be never so thin, yet he is come of noble kin. Though thou give him such a mock, yet he is come of a noble stock. I let thee well to wit.
What, Sir John, what say ye? Would you be fettered now? Think not too long, I pray you. It may fortune come soon enow. Ye shall think it a little soon.
Yet says... Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's right.
No, it's fine. It's a good place to pause. So when you're talking about Sir John, you're talking about a member of a clergyman or someone being terribly religious. It turns up as a term for a random clergy person in various plays and literary sources. So that turns up in John Hayward, who we've done on the podcast. There's literally Sir John is the local priest having it off with somebody's wife. Again, abuse of the clergy, kind of issues there. So Charity, defend yourself from this banter. Should we say this is banter? I think you're being bantered at.
I hate that word.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yet, sirs, let this cease, and let us talk of goodness.
He turned his tail, he is afeard, but faith he shall be scared. He weeneth by flattering to please us again, but he laboureth all in vain.
Sir, I pray you me not spare, for nothing do I care that ye can do to me.
No, whoreson, sayest thou so? Hold him, Pride, and let me go. I shall fet a pair of rings that shall sit to his shins, and that even anon.
Hie thee apace and come again, and bring with thee a good chain to hold him here still.
Jesu that was born of Mary mild, from all evil he us shield, and send you to grace to amend our life be at an end. For I tell you truly that ye live full wickedly. I pray God it amend.
Lo, sirs, look what I bring. Is not this a jolly ringing? By my troth, I trow it be. I will go wit of charity. How sayest thou, Master Charity? Does this gear please thee?
So we're getting into lots of physical business, which we should at least mark. So they've decided they've had enough of charity, so they're going to put fetters on them, and they've sent Riot off to grab them. And you're coming in with the prop, and so there is a prop. It's always nice to have the odd prop, not just a money bag. You've got some chains, and they're making a lovely sound, the jolly ringing. So it's quite a physically, even though it's not a complex play in the sense of there's a lot of settled or changing directions. There's a lot of business going on. There's a lot of potential bits that can be done with that. Any thoughts at this stage, or?
Youth is rather quiet while this this discussion is going on between the sins and the goodnesses, the virtues.
He doesn't have a voice.
I wonder if the sound of the ringing money bag and the sound of the ringing chains they're both pretty clearly indicated in the text that that's what happens. And I wonder if there's like a metaphorical connection between like material goods and chains.
Ooh, that's a thought. I've no idea. I like it.
On that note, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave this convivial gathering, but thank you all for having me. I truly appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you later on this week.
Yes, that'd be
nice.
fun.
Take care.
Thank you.
Emails will fly.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Hie thee hence and come again.
Oh, I shall.
Okay, so we're in the midst of some business.
But I was just, sorry, can I just finish?
Yes, no, please do.
Because we would, as we were saying earlier about Youth being trying to be bigger than he is. Now that it's actually getting into this kind of physicality and actual threats of violence, maybe he's wanting to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
Could be.
It's almost like he's kind of summoned forces that he doesn't really, doesn't really want to join in with in the first place.
Out of his depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're right. He doesn't really do anything, or he doesn't appear to be doing anything. The action does seem to be all right, and Pride, who are having a jolly old time. And yes, he has got some dialogue coming up, but there's a question of that gives you an idea of how you might say it, and having got caught in this situation, do you double down or do you what do you do next? So they're showing the fetters to Master Charity. Charity responds.
They please me well indeed. The more sorrow, the more need. For God said, while he was a man, Beati qui persecutionem patientur propter justitiam. Unto his apostles he said so, to teach them how they should do.
We shall see how they can please. Sit down, sir, and take your ease. Methink these same were full meet to go about your fair feet.
By my truth, you tell they would become him very well. Therefore, high that they were on unto the tavern that we were gone.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants to just go to the pub, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Wants his cake and eats it.
Yeah.
Not just a student, a drama student.
Oh yeah. Of course I recognise that.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, sorry, I jumped in there. Riot, continue. So if you want to go to the pub, Youth, Riot.
That shall ye see anon, how soon they shall be on, and after we will not tarry long, but hence go with a merry song.
Let us begin all at once. Oh,
Now have at...
No.
Yeah, ooh.
Wait for it. Wait for
Oh.
it.
No.
Now have at it by Coxbones, and soon let us go.
So they exit
Ah.
singing in a beautiful three-part harmony.
Hey, nonny, no.
Yes, indeed.
The
Hey, nonny,
hey-ho,
no.
when-
No.
I'll leave
So-
that to you.
Poor Charity, left fettered on the stage all alone, gets to do a little speechette before
No drinks.
no drinks before the entrance of humility to this desolate scene.
Lo, masters, here you may see before that the weed overgroweth the corn. Now may ye see all this in tide, how vice is taken and virtue set aside. Yonder you may see youth is not stable, but evermore changeable, and the nature of men is frail, that he wotteth not what may avail virtue for to make. Oh, good Lord, it is a pitiful case, sith God hath lent man wit and grace to choose of good and evil, that man should voluntarily to such things himself apply, that his soul should spill.
Christ, that was crucified and crowned with thorn, and of a virgin for man was born. Some knowledge send to me of my brother Charity.
Dear brother Humility, ye be welcome unto me. Where have ye been so long?
I shall do you to understand that I have said mine evensong. But, sir, I pray you, tell me now how this case happened to you.
I shall tell you anon. The fellows that I told you on have me thus arrayed.
Sir, I shall undo the bands from your feet and your hands. Sir, I pray you, tell me anon whither they be gone and when they come again.
So to the tavern they be gone, and they will come again anon, and that shall you see.
Then we will them exhort unto virtue to resort and to forsake sin.
I will help you that I can to convert that wicked man.
Okay, so re-enter the youths who've in this period of time presumably drunk rather a lot. We shall see. So humility, giving strength to Charity, undoing the fetters. Any thoughts about humility in this short space of time?
It's really tempting me to a life of humility, chastity, and all of that kind of stuff. That's
Very appealing, isn't
yes, youth is definitely intrigued.
I mean, technically, humility is the voice of reason at this point. So
Very
it's
cold.
balancing. Yeah, exactly. It's to balance out everything that has chaotically gone afoot to restore it to a sense of reasonable approach to things again. You know, so it's restoring everything yet again. So yeah, you can see why it's appealing for certain.
It adds weight to the pelvis.
Yes. Ah!
Excellent. So, can we have some coming out of the pub noises from Youth, Riot and Pride, and then Youth sort of to the audience, please?
Hey! 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 Back, gallants, look unto me and take me for your special, for I am promoted to high degree. By right, I am King Eternal, neither Duke, ne Lord, Baron, ne Knight that may be likened unto me. They be subdued to me by right, as servants to their masters should be.
Ye be welcome to this place here. We think ye labour all in vain. Wherefore your brains we will stir, and kill you a little again.
Sayest thou, by brains thou wilt stir? I shall lay thee on the ear. Wert thou born in Trumpington and brought up at Hog's Norton? By my faith, it seemeth so. Well, go, knave, go.
I'm sorry, there's lovely stuff there. Yes, you've got two places, one near Cambridge, one near Oxford. So you've that's an interesting sort of
geographical
thing that's brought in, and obviously the word Trumpington is naturally just both amusing and moderately sinister today.
It's a very good branch of Waitrose there, however.
It's full of the knowledge.
Let's not to say that we're not a public service to our viewers at home. That idea that youth is suddenly pumped up with the booze, presumably, and feels like he just looks like a drunk lad, really, doesn't he? But humility does seem to be a big splash of water in his face as well, actually. What?
It's another nautical metaphor as well. Actually, funny. I really like that, and kill you a little again. He's clearly slaying to the side off kill.
yeah,
battered.
Lovely. Charity, if you could try and sober up youth a bit.
Yes. Do by our counsel and our rede, and ask mercy for thy misdeed, and endeavour thee, for God's sake, for thy sins amends to make, or ever that thou die.
Hark, youth, for God avow, he would have thee a saint now. But youth, I shall you tell, a young saint, an old devil. Therefore, I hold thee a fool, and you follow his school.
I warrant thee I will not do so. I will be ruled by you two.
Then you shall do well. If you be ruled by our counsel, we will bring you to high degree and promote you to dignity. Hick.
Sir, it is a pitiful case that ye would forsake grace and to vice apply.
Why, knave, doth it grieve thee? Thou shalt not answer for me. When my soul hangeth on the hedge once, then take thou and cast stones as fast as thou wilt.
Sir, if it please you to do thus, forsake them and do after us, the better shall you do.
Sir, he shall do well enow, though he be ruled by neither of you. Therefore, quake no longer here, lest thou have on the ear, and that a good knock.
Lightly see thou avoid the place, or I shall give thee on the face. Youth, I trow that he would make you holy, or ye be old, and I swear by the rood, it is time enough to be good, when that ye be old.
Sir, by my truth, I thee say, I will make merry whiles I may. I cannot tell you how long.
Yea, sir, so mote I thrive. Thou art not certain of thy life. Therefore, thou were a stark fool to leave mirth and follow their school.
Sir, I shall him exhort unto us to resort, and you to forsake.
Ask him if he will do so, to forsake us and follow you two. Nay, I warrant you, nay.
That shall you see even anon. I will unto him gone and see what he will say.
Hardily go on thy way. I know well he will say nay.
Yea, sir, by God that me dear bought, me think ye labour all for naught. Weenest thou that I will for thee or thy brother Charity forsake this good company? Nay, I warrant thee.
No, master, I pray you of that. For anything forsake us not, and all our counsel rule you by. You may be emperor, or you die.
While I have life in my body, shall I be ruled by Riot and thee?
Sir, then shall ye do well, for we be true as steel. Sir, I can teach you to play at the dice, at the Queen's Game, and at the Irish, the Traeger Bay and the Hazard also, and many other games mo. Also, at the cards I can teach you to play, at the Triumph, and the 1 and 30, Post, Pinion, and also Am's Ace, and at another they call Juice Ace. Yet I can tell you more, and ye shall con me thank, pink, and drink, and also at the blank, and many sports mo.
Okay, I think we should pause there. A whole lot of games, you know all the games.
I am a games master.
Yeah, and those kind of games, there are lots of people who really, really hate people having fun generally. And any kind of gambling game is one of the things, along with theatre and houses of resort, that constantly get written about against in all sorts of different places. I don't know of what the nature of all those games are, but there are various and many. Any other thoughts in that little sequence? Obviously, you haven't been turned around, youth. You haven't been turned around. You're being offered more and more things.
Mm-hmm. But it's just not as impressive as being emperor and all the games.
So, charity and humility, you've got your work cut out. I mean, there's only about 100 lines left. How are you going to turn this around? You've got to win, guys. You've got to win.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. Okay, youth, you've been offered all these wonderful things. Thank Riot for such wonderful offers.
I thank thee, Riot, so mote I thee for the counsel thou hast given me. I will follow thy mind in everything and guide me after thy learning.
Youth, leave that counsel, for it is naught and amend that thou hast miswrought, that thou mayst save that God hath bought.
What say ye, Master Charity? What hath God bought for me? By my troth I know not whether that he goeth in white or black. He came never at the stews, nor in no place where I do use. Iwis he bought not my cap, nor yet my jolly hat. I wot not what he hath bought for me. And he bought anything of mine, I will give him a quart of wine the next time I him meet.
Sir, this he did for thee. When thou wast bond, he made thee free, and bought thee with his blood.
Sir, I pray you, tell me how may this be? That I know I was never bond unto none in England.
Sir, sir, I shall tell you. When Adam had done great trespass, and out of paradise exiled was, then all the souls, as I can you tell, were in the bondage of the devil of hell, till the Father of heaven, of his great mercy, sent the second person in Trinity, us for to redeem. And so, with his precious blood, he bought us on the rood, and our souls did save.
How should I save it? Tell me now, and I will be ruled after you, my soul to save.
What? Youth, will you forsake me? I will not forsake thee.
I shall tell you shortly. Kneel down and ask God mercy for that you have offended.
Youth, wilt thou do so? Follow them and let us go. Marry, I trow. Nay.
Okay, we'll just briefly pause there. Wow, that was a late game changing turnaround there. You had to play the whole God card in it, you know, the whole thing.
Who saw it coming?
I know, you know, the whole, he went down to hell and did some hell harrowing, and with his blood, he died for our sins. And it's like youth has never heard any of this before.
I just can't compete with that. I mean,
and it's just
game
bam,
over.
bam, it's suddenly in there, and he's on his knees, and you're just standing there going, mate, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You're my brother. Come on, dude.
Yeah. It's a hell of a turn, that, isn't it? It's like, wow, there's no dramatic turnaround there, is there? It's just simply, no, it has to happen now. That's really interesting. Why are you being converted? But plot, because of plot.
Is it just because he's young and he just hasn't actually listened to a word she said for the whole time?
Yeah.
And he's just suddenly, oh, hang on, what were you saying?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Okay. Youth, on your knees.
I think it was the splash in the face that humility gave me.
Ah. Well, humility sets you up, you see. It's like humility is there almost in a sort of priestly function as well, to actually say, kneel down and receive mercy now. So I wonder how that's costumed. That's an interesting thought. Okay, youth.
Here all sin I forsake, and to God I me betake. Good Lord, I pray thee, have no indignation that I, a sinner, should ask salvation.
Now thou must forsake pride, and all riot set aside.
I will not let him forsake, neither early nor late. I weened he would not forsake me, but if it will none otherwise be, I will go my way.
Sir, I pray God be your speed, and help you at your need.
I am sure thou wilt not forsake me, nor I will not forsake thee.
I forsake you also, and will not have with you to do, and I forsake thee utterly. Fie on thee, caitiff, fie! Once a promisee thou did make, that thou would me never forsake, but now I see it is hard for to trust.
Going to pause there. Going to pause you there, because I don't think that is. That should be Riot. Okay, there's an error in the text that I've given you. So, told you there'd be typos. So, youth, I forsake you also, and will not have with you to do. That's youth. And then the rest is all Riot.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. And I forsake thee utterly, that's Riot.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what we've got here in mine, and that sort of seems to make a lot more sense.
Jilted.
I'm assuming that may be an editorial change as opposed to the original text. While we are paused, it's very similar to the summoning of every man. This bit of "Will you go with me? I will not." Forsake thee. There, it's very, very similar phrasing. Very similar. That's one we will do for the podcast one day. So could we go from the exit? Pride has exited. There is again exit Pride after youth has denied him, as it were. Could we go back to I am sure thou wilt not forsake me, Riot? So 2 lines from Riot, 2 rhymes from youth, and then the rest is Riot. Let's try it that way.
Sorry, Robert, we've moved on without you now, mate.
Stopped the record. Oh no!
Sorry about that. My internet completely went down for a second, and it's still not quite all there, frankly. I'm hoping to come back. I'm a bit worried about the recording side of things, but we shall see.
It says it's still recording.
It says it's still recording, but God only knows. If you say anything rude about me behind my back, it'd be great.
Where is the trust?
I've met you, Simon. I've met you.
Correct.
Okay, I'm on slightly limited connectivity here, but we'll see how we go. So I seem to be fine. I seem to only have about 2 bars on my Wi-Fi. So, oh well, where were we? Literally, if you could start again, that bit, that would be lovely. Oh no, I'm back up to Riot now. Yes, so I am sure that will not forsake me. Apologies.
Okay. I forsake you also, and will not have with you to do. And oh no, that's it, isn't it?
And that's the crossover.
There we go.
And I forsake thee utterly. Fie on thee, caitiff. Fie. Once a promise thou did me make, that thou would me never forsake. But now I see it is hard for to trust the wretched world. Farewell, masters, everyone.
For your sin, look ye mourn, and evil creatures, look ye turn. For your name who maketh inquisition, say it is good contrition, that for sin doth mourn.
Here is a new array for to walk by the way, your prayer for to say.
Here be beads for your devotion, and keep you from all temptation. Let not vice devour. When ye see misdoing men, good counsel give them, and teach them to amend.
For my sin I will mourn, all creatures I will turn, and when I see misdoing men, good counsel I shall give them, and exhort them to amend.
Then ye shall be an inheritor of bliss, where all joy and mirth is.
To the which eternal God bring the persons all here being. Amen.
Thus have we brought our matter to an end before the persons here present. Would every man be content, lest another day we be shent?
We thank all this presence of their meek audience.
Jesu, that sitteth in heaven so high, save all this fair company, men and women that here be. Amen. Amen. For charity.
And humility and charity very much taking on the epilogue role there. I mean, that's very much. Everyone stops, turns to face the front, because of course you don't get blackouts or curtains closing. You just have to sort of, play is definitely over, folks. Let's just underline everything. Okay, general thoughts. Now that we've reached the end, it's all fine.
As always with these things, much better to have heard everyone reading it and then giving it some sort of character than just sitting at home reading. I got way more out of hearing you all work, as always. So very nice.
I am quite amazed so how quickly he comes around. I'm not sure in reality that would happen.
No.
Yeah, it's the here's the booze and the bosoms. Let's swap it for some beads.
Yeah. Let's look up.
Oh, that's almost this episode title, isn't it?
Sorry about that, guys. My battery went flat. I'm back.
Excellent. It all went fine at the end.
He came back to sin. Yes.
No. Yeah, it feels weird. I don't know if it feels like there are cuts there or something, or they just had a time limit and they something. It feels weird, that closing section feels
They
so
obviously wrote it for Edinburgh Fringe and it had to fit under 45.
Oh, yeah.
Even you.
Cut out the whole middle bit.
So one question I have is that obviously at this time, wouldn't all of the actors be men?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Lady Lechery doesn't have very much to do.
Well, Lady Lechery is, I mean, the traditional idea of this kind of company is that you would have 4 or so men and a boy.
Yeah.
This is not wholly, doesn't really wholly hold water as an absolute. I mean, it's basically they had whoever they had. And the part of Lady Lechery looks to be doubled with humility. She only appears there, and then she would double with humility. So it is a broad costume change. In absolute terms, should point out that it's not impossible that actually the women weren't performing. There is room for maneuver in terms of certainly court performances, certainly later, and there is less of an sense of, I'm being very careful here, not being too absolute on this, that the injunction against women acting is very much to do with being a professional actor who might be touring, might have autonomy, might be associated with a profession, as opposed to, say, earlier medieval drama. If you're performing locally for people you know, and everyone knows that you are good and you are playing the Virgin Mary, then that actually isn't entirely impossible. We don't have any direct evidence per se, but we do have lots of evidence of women being involved in performance, and it's a lot more complicated than has been assumed, and there's still a lot of work to be done there. I may have overstated some elements there, but that's broadly, I think, where we are at. So it's unlikely that it was played by a woman, but it's not actually entirely impossible, because if it was designed for a single performance in a single location at a single point in time, then perhaps why not? But I suspect for the audience it would have been funnier for the audience if it was played by a bloke in a dress. I suspect that's what the audience would have gone for.
Especially humility in a dress.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I suspect. Well, yeah. So yeah, that's sort of that's I think where we're at. People on the internet are allowed to tell me if I'm wrong later, and I'll edit this or something. I don't know.
Or something.
Or something, or just forget it. Any other thoughts?
You definitely don't want a stage, because it would be beautiful just being acted out in the crowd and made them to move around. So really go back to that naval ship of virtue, and its counterpart, like its antagonist, youth, being like a mirror of the audience, of the gallants in the audience, with my, and mine.
Yes, in the sense that there will be people like youth in the audience, because it is in part to, there's no point instructing old men or older members of the household to be good in this way. It is to instruct the younger generations.
Almost do it in a tavern. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Well, that's the thing is, after this initial performance and its printing here, we don't know precisely what its hinterland was. It may have entered more of a repertoire of a touring interlude going out and getting more disassociated with the household. And that's in a sense what we're doing tomorrow, because tomorrow is Hic Scorner, which the thinking is it's a rewrite for fewer actors effectively of this play. And it comes relatively soon after this play, Youth, was performed. They slightly simplified it so you could do it with 4 actors rather than 5, and it goes out in a more contracted and a different form, and there are various things which I need to read up about on that before tomorrow. Some of the thoughts and theories about that. So in a sense that it has a life beyond this, that this might be an artifact of a single performance, and it was never performed in this fashion again. But then again, it may not. It was printed, so it could have been performed all over the shop. And that's the thing. Fiona, as I can't see you, I never know if you want to talk.
Yes, no, fine. Sorry, I'll try going back on again. It's just my internet's a little bit up and down at the moment. So yeah, it was very fun. I almost wonder whether a really great time to do it, because Youth goes and gets drunk but still gets forgiven at the end because he chooses the right way after having a bit of fun, then it would be quite nice to do it after a pub session when everyone has kind of like got merry, and then that's the kind of like, okay, it's home time, everyone, and let's forgive ourselves.
Oh God, here comes charity and humility. Last orders, everyone, last orders.
It's the sort of thing some total git would plan to do at a stag party. We're like, oh, wouldn't it be great? Oh, biggest laugh.
But then they'd need to be in tiger costumes.
That's
Village
right.
charity.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, that's the plan. Okay.
Right. Fringe 21 then, guys.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the questions is, where do we take this, or where do other people take this? Because obviously the aim of this exercise is to create a routine to say, right, this is a play, this is material, this is something that can be done with very few actors. It's fringe ready. So many of these interludes are fringe perfect because they're under an hour, and they don't need many actors. And that's the question: what would you do with this as practitioners if you were thinking of producing it? And you know, any thoughts in that pragmatic way?
I think so. The idea of promenade theatre would suit this really well. This being in, do you remember when we used to have crowds? Those were the days.
Actually, Simon and I are just sitting there thinking of the last show we did. No, actually,
we don't know. There was that one day.
Two people and a dog. 2 people and a dog.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The dog. That made it a crowd. Freezing crowd, right?
Not joking. There was a dog.
You were quite busy the day I came to see it.
That's true. Oh, well, that's true. Thanks.
Anyway, sorry. Yes, going back to the remembering crowds. David.
Yes, but I think it is the sort of thing that you could do in a crowded marketplace, because it's the I know.
What, in Billingsgate? Grab a fish, guys! Join in!
Because the story itself is very simple. It's quite physical to begin with. You can see the character of Youth sort of coming along on stage, getting physical with the audience, saying, oh, try that. Oh, yeah, that's nice, isn't it? And all that kind of stuff, and bringing the audience together, and then sort of you have the fun, and then Charity and Humility come along, and crowd disperses.
Talk about crowd killer.
Actually, we could do it to dissuade people from leaving their houses at the moment.
Okay.
Is Riot DC?
And if you wanted to take that a little bit further, though, I mean, it has scope for interactive dinner theatre or interactive pub dinner theatre. You know, those kind of things that you see in murder mysteries. I've done a lot of murder mysteries over the last couple of years, and a lot of it is very much like pop-up scenes. So everybody has their courses and whatnot, but all these little scenes keep popping up out of the woodwork. And in a murder mystery, what you'd normally do is you'd look for the clues, and you'd look to see who the murderer is. In this context, you could actually take it a little bit further if you wish to, in the sense of making it an interactive aspect, if you so wished, what Youth should do next, based on the choices given from these characters, if you wanted to make it quite interesting and modernish, but with that sort of twist in the sense of whilst keeping true to the text.
Well, like make it like a TIE.
I was thinking more choose your own adventure, but
I was thinking that's exactly it. I was thinking more choose your own adventure, because you could actually develop that into something else entirely, which could be like like an interactive pub dinner theatre experience, when you see all these characters pop up and all these different characters tempting Youth down every which way possible. I mean, there could be some interesting scope with that, maybe.
Would you have them improvising amongst the crowd before and afterwards, trying to Yeah.
Absolutely. But in the scenes, you go straight back onto the text.
Yeah, and there is a real probability that there is a lot more improvisation going on around this than obviously that survives in the text. That these are people who know how to work a room.
Yeah.
And I quite like the idea of talking about it in that sort of more open span of a show, of just the idea that Charity gets plonked down with the fetters, and then you break for dinner, and they're left there the whole time as this sort of thing.
And so Charity's just there eating the fetter.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it is that sense of those sort of events, because of course interludes may have been part of a dining experience and a wider series of events, because they might be seasonal, they might be to do with several days of feasting and events, and one day you might have some dancing, then you might have a play, and so there's and that's why there's moments of song and other activities part of this, and that's in interludes you get a lot of this random singing, random actions, random bits of dancing, just to sort of bring the audience up from wherever the play's left them. So Charity, there is always a
humility.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So say again.
Charity and humility. Bringing everyone down. Oh, have some beads.
Right, they're the evil characters are the sugar to make the moral lesson go down. I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
Stefanie, any thoughts? You've been a little quiet.
I think I want to stage it in marble arch and make that space come to life again. And I think that's what I will actually do, and ask you to come and join me. Because I find it's such a dead space, eerily so, still reverberating with all that Tybanish noosiness. And would be great to use that play to evoke the spectacular spirit of that place, because we don't feel that anymore. And now it's so deadened, and it's such a strange and eerie place. Only tourists pass through, and cars. So I think that way, humility and charity might be off the space, and the others try to live in it, and thereby the actors, or the vicious actors, are given some fodder.
Okay.
So I hope we can meet there one day. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this
Speaker's Corner.
Well, there is a case of here. We have time, unfortunately, to actually think ahead. And for every one of these plays that I've done, very, very rarely have I come across a play where I've gone, nah, don't want to do anything with that. It's always a case of finding something that can be done with it, and sharing this and saying to people out there, if you would like to do something with this, and if this has been of use, of bringing alive, I agree with Simon that reading plays is really terrible thing. It really is very difficult to get a sense of the life of a play and the action that may be happening around these words. And I think we've given this a fair crack. I think we've done.
Yeah.
I felt
it's been great fun.
It's been really good, guys.
I'm going to say that the official recording part of this shall end here, unless anyone else has anything urgent to say, and before we do some admin, as it were.
Not hugely urgent.
Turn off my mic.
No.
Not hugely urgent, but I was just wondering, I know charity is a much broader term in terms of being good, but would it actually be possible to do it as a charity event, where at the end there was actually, collection, for then sort of tying it all together to, I don't know.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I see it as
useful.
something you could do around Easter time, because obviously it's got that kind of old Christian kind of message. See, the problem with these for me is always, yes, you could put them on, but you've got to think really much about the demographic of who would come and see it. I'm not sure you could sell this very well. So I understand the whole idea about the dinner group, but I think that would have to be almost a captive audience dinner group of people, you know what I mean, who kind of wanted to not be preached at because they already know. So maybe either, I always think filmically, like film it as if it's a theatre company back in 1513 who are doing this piece in a church, or you literally bring it to the Christians.
Oh.
Not in an exploitative way, as in, just literally that. I think that would be the audience, or a religious audience, personally, or scholars. I can't see anyone else wanting it.
You are absolutely right. In the terms of commercial box office, these kind of plays are very difficult to sell, and there is a niche audience. But the advantage is they're a niche cast size. We're not talking about a 12, 16 actor company. For a bigger scale play, so there is at least an economy of scale that we can work towards, and not all interludes are moralities, or are they?
Oh,
sometimes they are and they're not, and some are more moral than others.
Hello.
Or I'm just saying these words to make it sound more interesting. It's one of the two. Right. I'm going to say thank you all officially, and hopefully this is useful to listeners and watchers at home. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll talk like normal people again.